You know, now that we're really officially into the Fantasia arc, I must say, other than having a really stupid name, it's kind of firing on all cylinders. Welcome back to Berserk, everybody. And I don't even have a book sitting here. This section of my desk actually feels kind of lonely, not having a book on it. Like, I don't care what I'm talking about. I always have the book sitting here. Maybe I should just get like a little figurine of Guts and have him sitting here while I talk about the book. That could be an idea. Maybe Judo. Judo would be better though, wouldn't he? Because he's the best. And before we get into it real quick, as always, I'm going to thank my patrons. Thank you guys so very much. If for some reason I ever forget to say it in a video, just know that I love you and appreciate you, and I'll double thank you the next time. I don't know. But no, seriously, thank you to my patrons. It's flashback time. We all love a good flashback, right? And to be honest, I actually kind of do. And it's kind of about time we got one. I got kind of excited when I saw that it was like a flashback to good old golden age era. That really just made me happy for some reason. So anyway, this is going to take place in the 4 years between when Guts left Gambino and when he shows up with the Band of the Hawk. And as excited as I was to get this flashback, the first thing I noticed, and I don't mean to complain here, is Guts looks way too old for this section of the story. Like, Kid Guts back in the day actually kind of used to look like a kid. Whereas now, Kid Guts really looked like the art team was like, well, what if we just took adult Guts and made him skinnier? And they were like, perfect. Even though we already know what he looked like as a kid. Whatever. Anyway, let's just focus on the story. We see that Guts has been taken prisoner, and he's been placed in a line of other prisoners. And he has been injured so badly that he can barely walk. And there's an old man behind him, and he's kind of helping him along, and he's trying to help him up, and he's trying to keep the guards off of him and all this stuff. And Guts is just yelling at him not to touch him, as Guts would at this point in his life. And the guy seems to be a nice guy. He's not, but he seems to be. Actually, it almost seems like this is going to be a positive experience in Guts' life in general. Not really. We even get a little speech from the old man as they're walking about you kill, and someday you might find people that it's worth putting your life on the line for. And it's poignant, and it means a lot to Guts and to the story as a whole. But it kind of has multiple meanings, and he even says it while standing in a panel with very intentional art of the hawks flying overhead. And at the top of the very next page is a picture of a castle off in the distance. All of the imagery here is implying Griffith, but the words are implying his brothers from the original Band of the Hawk and his new friends now. So there's layers to what's happening here, and it's just really nice, all of the detail that can be shoved into a single page. And it's not spoon-fed to you. You really you can gloss over it, or you can really kind of dissect it and pick apart all the pieces. And there's going to be a couple of scenes like that in here. He has gone through 30 years of building and layering and build up, and then he's going to talk right across the top of it, and he's going to allow the story to speak for itself. And you can either skip right across the top, or you can delve in as deep as you want. You can go as many layers deep into this as you want, and the layers are there. Now, after all that, suddenly the guy's going to help Guts escape. But, big surprise, it was all for show. And he's just using Guts as a pawn and a decoy so that he can run the other way and he can escape himself. Basically sacrificing Guts to save his own ass. Which causes Guts to have a little flashback to when Gambino used to use him as a decoy on the battlefield. And this all leads to him then being recaptured and thrown in a cell. And then he lays there with the man's words kind of echoing in his head, which really ultimately just reinforces all of the negative things in Guts' head and what has happened to him in his life. He then kills and eats a live rat while he lays on the floor and stares at a flower, hallucinating that a fairy is there. Hey! He's gonna go so far as to have entire conversations with this fake fairy, and the fairy will pluck leaves from the flower and, put them on his wounds and kind of heal him as payment for saving it from the rat. Guts is eventually going to promise to take the little flower out with him to a field of flowers and replant it there so it can be up with all the rest of its flower friends. And he legitimately thinks that he's just in the middle of a fever dream this entire time. He also kind of imagines that this is kind of a personification of all of his weaknesses. And then in the morning, he's going to wake up feeling better and his fever has broken, and he realizes that the flower is completely wilted, because the fairy used every last petal and leaf to heal his wounds. And then Guts, even under the impression that it was just a fever dream that he had, sees the wilted flower and still has the sense of mind, I don't know what I'm trying to say, to pluck the flower and tuck it in his belt, because he's still going to fulfill his promise of replanting it if he can escape this place. Okay, so now he's taken out and he's going to have to battle the nobleman's son, and he's expected to die in the battle because it's going to embolden the nobleman's son because he's going off to his first battlefield or something. And he gets out there and he completely, just rips through this guy in true Guts fashion. The guy's armor is impenetrable. So he uses all the tips and tricks that he learned from Gambino about fighting somebody bigger with impenetrable armor, takes him out pretty easily, and instead of killing him, he takes him hostage and he's going to use him to get out. When just then the old man shows up and sieges the castle. And he just walks in like him and Guts are old buddies, like, "Oh, hi, old friend. Good job. Way to go. Isn't it great that we meet again?" Like he didn't try and kill Guts like 10 pages ago. But Guts goes ahead and runs out of there, and he hurries up and he goes and he replants the flower. And then after replanting the flower, Guts just walks away, never knowing if any of that was real or if it ever really happened, or even if the flower survived. And I'm not entirely sure what any of this is supposed to mean, to be quite honest, as much as it feels like it was all just a quick tangent, just to give you a little bit more insight into Guts as a person and who he was back in the day, or just a little bit about him. At the same time, it kind of feels like it could be more important, considering that we are right in the middle of the Elf Island chapter. Is there going to be a callback to this coming up soon? And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit disappointed when I read this initially, because I wanted more from a flashback. I wanted more than just Guts gets captured, he goes and lays in a cell, he replants a flower. It felt lackluster as I was reading it, and as soon as I finished it, I was like, well, that was a letdown. And the more I sit with it after I read it, the more I kind of go, no, I like that. I appreciate it more after the fact than I did when I was reading it, if that makes any sense. Now, flashback to the present, and we see a carriage being chased by trolls. And it's Rickert and Erica. And just when it looks like they're not going to make it, they're saved by the Band of the Hawk. But then it gets worse, and they're attacked by a giant evil chicken. But it's okay, because the Band of the Hawk has a demon on their side, and it's the Archer. The dog with the man torso kind of growing out of his butt. And Rickert's reaction is pretty appropriate, because you could see that it just doesn't really sit right with him, that this is what the Band of the Hawk has become. Really reinforcing in Rickert's mind that the Band of the Hawk is just different now. It looks like he hasn't quite nailed down why or what about this bothers him yet, but it clearly bothers him. But the chase continues, and eventually he's going to end up running into a general that he actually knows from back when they fought together in the 100 Years' War. And he's going to be all excited, and he'll bust out his little pin from when he was, in the Band of the Hawk, and he'll be like, "Look, I'm Rickert from the Band of the Hawk." It's a really cute little scene. I like it. Okay, now that everyone's safe, they're going to escort Rickert and Erica to Falconia. And in the process of doing this, we're going to have to go through some of the most epic panels that I have seen yet. We get a field of rock crystal wings with the world tree in the distance. I mean, it's just crazy. The land is lush. Everything is growing and thriving. It really is wonderful to look at. Not to mention the art of Falconia itself when we actually get there. I mean, damn. And of course, when you get there, it's the perfect city where people of every type and every nation are all living together in peace and harmony. And Rickert is given a letter of recommendation so that he can go see Griffith. And then he's taken to a lodge. And the lodge is run by Luca. And I never thought I'd see Luca again. And I never thought that I'd be this excited to see Luca again. I'm not even gonna lie. And the stables are run by a mysterious old man who is drawn and framed in a way like we're not supposed to know who the mysterious old man is, even though we very clearly do. I mean, the second you see him, you know who he is. It's just, although it is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, the way it's done, like, who could it possibly be? But they know you know. Like, it's, I don't know. There'll still be this really dramatic reveal later, but at least it feels self-aware of what it's doing as it's doing it. And it's been a long, hard journey getting here, and we've had to fight all those creatures, so clearly, it's bath time. What else could it be? And there's really not much to say here, other than the fact that I will like to give a little bit of credit where credit's due and say that at least Miura does a little bit better this time with not presenting the underage nudity so inappropriately, although I'm not 100% thrilled with it ever. At least it wasn't so egregious this time. Anyway, while the girls are getting cleaned up, Rickert's gonna go see Griffith. And in order to do that, he has to travel to the actual Capitol building or whatever the fuck this thing is. And we're gonna get more just crazy panels. And then when we get inside, we're going to see that they're having a funeral ceremony with Griffith and the Pope and the princess and all of that. And he's there with all of his subjects, and he's giving everybody one last chance to see their loved ones before they move on to the afterlife, which I'm not so sure they're moving on to a good place. I feel like this is all awful because we know what Griffith is tied to in the greater scheme of things. So these souls are probably going basically to hell, and he's presenting it like it's something special, and I don't think it is. But I digress. Either way, it's been a series of panels and experiences for Rickert that makes it look like he has entered this perfect paradise for all peoples, and even the living and the dead are all having the most perfect experience conceivable. The place looks like a perfect paradise, and Griffith himself looks almost godlike. When a shadowy figure approaches Rickert, and he's all like, I think you should see this. And he takes Rickert out back because he recognizes that Rickert is an original member of the Band of the Hawk, but he doesn't have the stench of the brand. So clearly he wasn't there at the eclipse. But he's going to take him out back, and he's going to show him the war demons and where and how they live. And Rickert is appropriately disturbed and upset by seeing the war demons. And so are we, and I thought, oh, okay, so this guy's showing him something to get him upset. But no, he actually, as he's showing him, presents it to Rickert as though this is just another layer of Griffith's perfection, because he has taken these demons and brought them into the fold as well and given them a meaning and a purpose to their lives. And not only did he give them meaning and purpose, but he got them under control, and now they live side by side with the humans, and they don't kill each other and attack each other. So he's literally presenting this like this is a good thing. I don't think Rickert sees it that way, but that's legitimately how he's presenting it to him. Now, after all the buildup and all the suspension, we finally get the moment that we've been slowly building towards, and the moment we've all been waiting for. Rickert goes to see Griffith. And Griffith sees him coming over the hill, and Griffith gets up from his little picnic and goes to see him. And I was literally like sitting there like, after everything that Rickert has been through in his life, and then the meeting on the Hill of Swords, and then everything that he's just now seen in Falconia. I'm literally like on the edge of my seat, wondering exactly where this is going to go. How is he going to respond and react now finally being face to face in private with Griffith? And once they're face to face, Griffith asks him, "Will you still dream the same dream?" And Rickert responds. And this is by far the best scene out of anything that I read this time, period. I literally reacted out loud when I'm like flipping through the pages. So I was like, oh my God. Like, I literally was like, oh, it was, oh my gosh, it was the greatest thing ever. I was like he could not have done or said anything that, I don't know. I loved that so much. But then, as great as that slap was, and as much as I loved that moment so much, he then follows it up with, I was ashamed of myself for not being there with the others that day, and for not being able to be mad like Guts. But the one who made the Hill of Swords was me. And I'm just like, damn, that's heavy. And that's it. That's all he says. And it's so loaded. There's so much to what he just did and what he just said. There's so much buried in that line that he didn't say. I mean, essentially what he just did was looked him in the face and said, "You killed them. I went through and I mourned them. My brothers, our brothers. I mourned every single one of them. I made a grave and a headstone for every single one of them. I mourned them all, and I honored them all. I built that shrine, and you're the one who killed them. They're dead because of you." Oh my God, it's so good. And then... we're not done. Oh no, we're not done. Because he doesn't say that. He doesn't push it. He doesn't shove any of that in Griffith's face. Instead, what he does is he pulls out his pin from the band of the hawk and he holds it up and he goes, "Have you noticed the crest is a little different now?" That it is. I'm Rickert, member of the band of the hawk, led by Griffith, the white hawk. My leader isn't the hawk of light. Goodbye. Oh my God. I almost stopped reading right there. I was almost like, yep, that's a wrap. Like, seriously, I don't even know. That almost was the end of this week's video because I was just like, doesn't get any better. Does not get any better. Me, that was good. Some of these scenes are so good, I don't even know what to do with myself after reading them. And then I have to sit here and somehow express it. I don't know how. That's what you get. Anyway, now, Rickert and Erica are going to prepare to leave. And Rickert's going to take one last walk around the city, and he's going to be thinking about everything, and he's going to ultimately come to the conclusion that I still have family, and he's going to think about the old band of the hawk with Guts right in the front of the panel, and right then, the shadowy guy's going to show up and try to kill him. And I've already said that the shadowy guy is some of my favorite character design in all of Berserk, but this shot here, oh shit. But right then he's saved by the Bakaraka. To be more specific, eyeliner guy and the guys with the big knuckles. And eyeliner guy's gonna say, "For saving your life, I want to ask you a question." Now put a pin in that one and remember it for later, because we're not done with the battle yet. Shadow guy and we're gonna all have to fight and battle it out and all of that fun stuff. By the way, the fight is quite awesome. It is fun. It's good. I love it. They end up breaking the shadow guy's mask, which is extremely unfortunate because he looks a lot less cool now. But anyway, he promises he'll be back, so we're all going to run back to the lodge now and prepare to ambush him. And honestly, at this point, I'm really just like, I don't have any idea what's going on or why the shadow guy is really obsessed about fighting Rickert. Like, as far as I know, shadow guy's after Griffith, There doesn't really seem to be a logical reason for him to go after Rickert unless it was just opportunistic, in which case there's no real reason for him to just attack him obsessively. Like, what is going on and what is his motivation? It's not clear as far as I can tell. But anyway, all weird logic aside that I haven't figured out yet, he ends up returning. And I want to say right now before we go any further, this new mask is awful. I'm ashamed of you, Shadow Guy. What is this? What did you just put on your face? No, sir. What? Anyway. But anyway, they do battle. And it's him against Rickert and the Bakaraka. And they fight him for a while, and then they light him on fire, and then he gets Erica, and it goes around and round and for a while, and right when it looks like the Shadow Guy's got the upper hand, he gets attacked by a bunch of snakes from the old man, who then has got a very dramatic reveal to be General Daiba of the... You know, those people. Like we somehow didn't know that already, but it's okay. And he brings out his little dragon bird things, and they all jump on him, and they all fly away. And the Shadow Guy goes to chase them, and Rickert shoots him in the face with a rocket launcher. But anyway, like I said, they all fly away, and they're all friends now. Yay! But I'm still curious what that question was. Like, it sets up... We're suddenly friends now. We're all just flying off into the sunset together, right? What was the question? Like... You don't know each other. You have no and he saves them, and he's like, because I saved you, I want to ask you a question. Next thing you know, we just move on. Like, he brings it up one other time, and he's like, back to the question, and then they get interrupted again. And then it's never, ever brought up. So they either A, forgot about the question, B, it was never important in the first place, and it was just some cheap excuse to get the two of them together, or C, we're going to figure that out in the future. Let's hope it's C, I guess, is what I'm saying. Okay, anyway, so I really like this section. Like I said, the first part, the little flashback, I was excited about, and then I didn't like it, and now upon reflection, I kind of do like it. It's kind of like a wishy-washy little area for me. It feels like it has a lot of importance and meaning, but I'm not 100% on it. The next part with Rickert, wow, some of these scenes and some of these sections and some of the things that Miura has been able to do, and the way that he has built the story, and the way everything has been built and layered up to this point, and the way he can punch with some of these scenes, with everything that has been built up to this point, is just phenomenal. It's mind-blowing, and I love it. Also, Rickert just leveled up for me hardcore. He's always been a character that I've been okay on. He's not great, but he's not bad, you know. He's just been like, yeah, okay, there's Rickert. He's whatever. But boy, after this, holy crap, did he just level up like 10 times in my book. I really appreciate Rickert a lot more than I did before this happened. I mean, I love some of the things that he's done, like creating the Hill of Swords was just one of the greatest things ever for a character to do, but him in general as a character never really stood out to me until now. All in all, I'm going to have to give this particular section an 8.5. I really did enjoy it. Actually, I'm really enjoying the Falconia arc.
Fantasia.
In general, a lot more than I, for some reason, expected to. I think because it gets such bad ratings on people's tier lists that I've seen in the past. For some reason, or even in general discourse online, I feel like Falconia art
Fantasia
gets kind of the short end of the stick. So I was expecting it. Even in my comment section, you people have been like, he's going to hate it when he gets to the Falconia arc.
Fantasia.
And I don't understand why people said that at this point. Because some of these beats have been great. Like, great. Anyway, unless this arc's going to go nose diving off a cliff sometime soon, I don't understand why people thought I was going to hate this so much. Anyway, 8.5, I really enjoyed this. As always, the link for my Discord's in the description below. The link for my Patreon is in the description below. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.